What makes Quiapo so interesting is the harmonious diversity of its people and the institutions that have thrived there throughout its history. Standing right in the heart of Quiapo is that magnificent temple of Gothic art, San Sebastian Church. It holds an enviable and enduring place in the history of art and engineering feats. It was the first all-iron church in the whole world. It was also the first iron edifice in Asia and the second in the world after the Eiffel Tower in Paris. The prefabricated iron structure indeed is sui generis in Asia. Unknown to many, the stability of the church is perfect as a result of the foundation. The center of gravity of the edifice is way down below its massive concrete foundation, making it harmlessly sway with and withstand intense seismic movements and typhoons. Its polychromatic glass artwork can compete with those of the Gothic cathedrals of France. The Gothic architectural style displays its slender spires pointed heavenward in unwavering defiance against the elements and in loving memory of its predecessors, all worthy houses of God. In 1973, San Sebastian Church was declared a National Historical Shrine. The first structure of the church and convent was built in 1621 in what was then called Barrio Kalumpang, named after the trees that were common in the area. Its founder, Father Rodrigo de San Miguel, Vice Provincial of the Augustinian Recollects in the Philippines, decided on the location for two reasons. It was an ideal place for repose and spiritual retreat for the missionaries, and he felt that the populace of Kalumpang, then numbering 300, needed spiritual direction. The church and convent were named after the glorious Roman martyr, San Sebastian, to whom Father Rodrigo was staunchly devoted. What was it like around San Sebastian in the old days, and what was the church like?
Well, the church was, since it was a private church of the Augustinian Recollects, it was open to people, but kind of old and musty looking, you know, not like now that it's really bright and people want to come in. Now, the surrounding areas, well, we were like a family because we knew each other, you know, around San Sebastian. We knew each other.
Was there a lot of activity in the church?
Well, not much. Just, you know, the regular masses and all that. Because even weddings were not really allowed here except by special permission.
I see. And how about mga processions and fiestas?
Yeah, we had the procession. Our procession was January. It was January 29. And they had the Caballeros del Carmen and the Damas del Carmen, you know. But, and it was very well attended by the religious at that time.
What's happening to the church this year?
Well, this year we are celebrating the centennial of San Sebastian Church. And also, this is August 15 to 18. And also we will have the canonical coronation of Our Lady of Carmen on August 18. We will have a procession and then the coronation probably outside, weather permitting, by the Cardinal and the Papal Nuncio. Then we will have the Mass.
It's a big festivity.
Oh, very big. And that's why we would like to take this opportunity to call all the old families from here, because we will be having a reunion of the Familias Antiguas de San Sebastian. That is on August 15.
And what will happen on August 15? What activity will there be?
That is the first day of the Triduum.
Okay.
We have a Triduum, and we would like them to sponsor the Mass. And after the Mass, we would like them to renew old friendships and probably help us a little. And we will have cocktails after the Mass for the old families.
And renew their affection for the church.
Yes. Because we chose that day because it is the Feast of the Assumption. And also on that day, we are also having the lighting ceremonies. by the
Lighting.
PTA, Philippine Tourism
Ah.
Authority.
What do you mean lighting ceremonies?
We are installing lighting, interior
Inside the
lighting for the church, yes, to highlight the paintings and the dome and the ceilings.
Then it will become a real tourist attraction.
Yes. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to attract tourists here to this area. Because when they go to Malacanang, they can pass on Sebastian.
Yes, and hopefully after this, the rest of Quiapo,
Hopefully.
the residential
Because
area.
yes, we do love Quiapo.
The church is also known as Iglesia de Nuestra Señora del Carmen because of the enshrinement in the newly built church of the statue of the Virgen del Carmen in May 5, 1521. The church was the first Philippine shrine of the Lady of Mount Carmel and the only one for the next 200 years. In 1621, the primitive church was set aflame during an uprising of Manila's Sangli population. The second church that was built by the Recoletos after it was torched was in 1645, destroyed by a violent earthquake. Although the third structure survived the British occupation troops in the 18th century, it was damaged by another quake in 1859. Soon after, the church underwent substantial repairs, only to collapse once more in yet another seismic calamity in June 1863. It was torn down and rebuilt to face another series of earthquakes and aftershocks that leveled it to the ground. Through all of these calamities, the statue of the Virgen del Carmen survived. By 1890, the patient and persevering Recoletos, determined to build a catastrophe-proof edifice, went to Genaro Palacios, a famous architect with the plans for a new church. It would be built entirely of steel. In June 1883, Palacios presented the blueprints, and in March 1886, the contract was awarded to the Société Anonyme d'Entreprise de Travaux Publics, a Belgian firm. It took 8 ships carrying 50,000 tons of iron steel and glass artworks to ensure the completion of the 4-year project. The building commenced on May of 1887 and was completed on the July of 1891.